Welcome back to another Fitness Made Simple explainer. Today, we're tackling what is literally one of the most maddening, pull-your-hair-out situations you can possibly experience on your fitness journey. Picture this. You're eating less, you're tracking your food, you're hitting the gym hard. From every single angle, you're doing it all absolutely perfectly. But that stubborn scale simply refuses to move.
It's an incredibly frustrating scenario, right? And hey, if you've ever said to yourself, I'm doing everything right, so why aren't I losing fat? I want to validate that frustration right out of the gate. Because when you feel like you're making all these sacrifices and putting in the hard work without seeing any actual reward, the very first place your mind goes is usually sheer panic. You start thinking, my metabolism is completely broken, or my body just doesn't want to lose fat, or even calories simply don't work for me. But if we actually look at the data, jumping to those conclusions is usually pretty premature. The science shows us that energy balance is absolutely still the foundation of fat loss. The catch? While the science of a calorie deficit is super simple in principle, applying it to real, messy, everyday life is a completely different story.
So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The deficit illusion. 2. Unmasking scale weight. 3. Hidden roadblocks. 4. The action plan. And 5. The mindset shift. Let's dive right into Section 1, the deficit illusion. Are you actually in a calorie deficit? We have to start with a kind of uncomfortable truth here. Fat loss failure is rarely actually due to bad science. It's usually just inaccurate tracking. Think about it. We diligently log the big meals, the chicken, the rice, the broccoli, but we completely forget these hidden calorie leaks. I'm talking about that heavy splash of olive oil in the pan, the generous pour of dressing on a salad, or even the classic dad tax of finishing off a few bites of your kid's mac and cheese. You might confidently think you're eating 1,500 calories, but these tiny untracked daily items can quietly erase your hard-earned deficit entirely without you even realizing it.
And this brings us to one of the most common traps out there, the weekend eraser. You see, fat loss isn't just about what you do perfectly on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's all based on your weekly average. Let's break this down. Say your maintenance level is 2,200 calories. Monday through Friday, you're a machine. You're incredibly disciplined, eating exactly 1,700 calories a day. That banks you a solid 500-calorie daily deficit. Over 5 days, boom, that's 2,500 calories saved. Sounds fantastic, right? But then the weekend rolls around. You hit up a restaurant, have a few drinks, eat some bigger portions, and maybe spend a little more time lounging on the couch. So on Saturday and Sunday, you end up eating around 3,000 calories a day. Suddenly, you're in an 800-calorie surplus for both of those days.
Think about what that math means. Over just the weekend, you added 1,600 calories right back into your weekly total. All of a sudden, that beautiful 2,500-calorie deficit you worked so incredibly hard for all week has shrunk to almost nothing. And honestly, if you had just a couple of minor tracking errors during the week on top of that weekend surplus, your entire deficit is literally gone. Poof. Moving on to Section 2, unmasking the scale weight, why your bathroom scale is deceiving you. Now, what if you are tracking everything perfectly? No weekend erasers, no hidden leaks, and the scale still won't budge. Well, it is absolutely crucial to distinguish between scale weight and actual fat loss, because they are definitely not the same thing. The scale measures the whole shebang: your fat, your muscle, your water, the food currently in your digestive system, your glycogen stores, salt intake, and even inflammation. The Mayo Clinic actually points out that early weight loss is very often just water and glycogen depletion, mostly because glycogen is stored with water. So think about this. If you train legs really hard, your muscles get sore and they hold on to water to recover. If you eat a bit more salt, you hold water. If you're super stressed out or sleeping poorly, water retention goes up. You could easily lose half a kilo of actual literal body fat in a week, but retain 700 grams of water. You step on that scale, see the number jump up by 200 grams, and totally panic, even though you're actively losing fat. Crazy, right?
And here's some really great news. There's also the magic of body recomposition. If you're a beginner to strength training, or maybe coming back after a long break, you might actually be losing fat and gaining muscle at the exact same time. And since muscle is dense, your scale weight might stall completely or barely even tick downward. But you'll notice your waist is getting smaller, your posture is improving, and your clothes are fitting completely differently. A true transformation isn't just about becoming lighter, it's about changing your body's actual composition.
All right, Section 3, hidden roadblocks to progress: physiology, adaptation, and lifestyle factors.
So sometimes the issue isn't your tracking, and it's not just water weight either. Sometimes it's straight up physiology. A calorie deficit that used to work perfectly for you might just suddenly stop working over time. This is a very real thing called metabolic adaptation. The NIH Body Weight Planner is actually built around this exact type of dynamic modeling. It goes a little something like this. Say you start at 90 kilos, you cut your calories and you lose weight beautifully. Awesome. Now you weigh 82 kilos. Well, here's the catch. A smaller body simply requires less energy to maintain itself than a heavier body. The exact same amount of calories that created fat loss for you at the beginning won't create the same result later on. Your metabolism isn't broken, I promise. It's just that your old deficit has simply become your new maintenance.
And beyond just body mass, there are the sneaky lifestyle roadblocks. When you diet for a while, diet fatigue naturally sets in. You might start subconsciously moving a lot less. You stop fidgeting as much. You suddenly opt for the elevator instead of the stairs, and your daily steps just kind of drop off. In the science world, this is a drop in non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT, and it drastically lowers your daily calorie burn. Add in some poor sleep, which completely spikes your hunger hormones, or high stress, which causes massive water retention, and your fat loss is completely masked or stalled out entirely.
Okay, Section 4. Practical steps forward, the action plan.
Now that we've properly diagnosed the roadblocks, let's get into a clean, actionable checklist so you can start gathering some real data. First up, track honestly for 14 days. Seriously, don't fake the numbers. Second, monitor your weekly scale averages, not those volatile, crazy daily numbers. Third and fourth, take your waist measurements and take progress pictures. Fifth and sixth, track your daily steps and prioritize strength training. Seventh, hit those daily protein targets. And finally, number 8, review your trends after a few weeks so you can make smooth, data-backed adjustments.
And speaking of protein, the absolute crucial point here is to follow the data. The International Society of Sports Nutrition specifically notes that consuming 1.4 to 2.0 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily is the sweet spot for most active individuals to support muscle-protein balance. Basically, hitting this daily target ensures that as you lose weight, you're actually holding onto that hard-earned muscle, which is exactly what keeps your metabolism humming along.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, the mindset shift. Moving from panic to progress.
If we want to make truly sustainable progress in fitness, we really have to move away from that flawed emotional mindset of, why is my body broken and not working? Look, your body isn't a simple calculator, sure, but it's not totally random either. It responds to consistent patterns. So instead of panicking, we need to adopt a coaching mindset. Ask yourself, what data am I missing to solve this? You've got to look for the patterns. Are your weekends secretly erasing your week? Is your sleep terrible right now? Has your daily movement dropped off without you realizing? When you consciously look for the data, instead of letting the frustration take over the driver's seat, you completely regain control.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative reflection today. Take a real, hard look at your habits. Look at your tracking and ask yourself honestly, are you truly consistent or are you just consistently guessing? Because I promise you, once you finally stop guessing, you can finally start progressing. Thank you for watching and see you soon for the next one.